So tonight I'm doing something a little different, and we're hitting the big board for our Retaking America segment. Joining me now is our friend Chris Bedford, executive editor for the Common Sense Society. Chris, great to see you tonight. Let's start in the Senate, where Republicans need just one seat to take control. So what can you tell us about Wisconsin, where GOP incumbent Ron Johnson is facing a challenge from this pretty radical guy, Mandela Barnes?
There have been a lot of folks in D.C. and New York who have been trying to pretend that Wisconsin's in a lot of trouble, Ron John's in trouble. I've never really bought it. Seems like they're high on their own supply with that one. But Mandela Barnes is a perfect example of someone who's charismatic, handsome, young, absolutely looks the part of a politician. But the Democrats didn't look under the hood. He's pretty radical. And Wisconsin is a back-and-forth state. It went for Obama, it went for Trump, it went for Biden. This is not someone you can really run as a radical leftist, and that seems to be a problem he's running into now, and as the Republicans define him, well, he's plummeting.
So you're talking about the extreme views. Let's go through some of them here. He favors eliminating cash bail, and today with the crime, how does that fly on?
It's not. We were in Wisconsin reporting right before the 2020 election, and it's one thing after the whole summer and everything to put a sign professing your innocence or attack or joining some political cause in your window. But it's another thing when they're burning down Kenosha. It's another thing when the hotel staff in Milwaukee has to say, move your car away from our hotel because rioters will be here tonight and they'll destroy it. People are extremely upset. Now, the Democrats may have been able to pull it out because there was some distaste for Donald Trump, especially among some of the suburban women voters. But despite Democrats' best efforts, Trump's not on the ballot. His policies are on the ballot. And right now, releasing criminals, halving the prison population, releasing rapists and murderers, well, that's not a very popular position anymore.
Now, we're talking about hundreds of rapists and murderers combined. All right, his radical views, now, they're extreme, but are they really out of step with Wisconsin, which is kind of hard to peg? This kind of tells the tale, does it not?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the difference between Ron Johnson being able to define his opponent and not. I mean, at this point, the senator's been releasing advertisements that just take his Mandela's ads, and Ron John talks over them and says, this is what he stands for. You see him hitting a baseball and acting like a normal Wisconsinite, but in reality, his policies are for cutting the police. He says America is an awful founding and an awful country. He says the Green New Deal should come to Wisconsin.
A typical Democrat, in other words.
A typical Democrat in a not typical Democrat state.
All right, let's turn to the House, where incumbent Democrat Henry Cuellar is battling this newcomer, Cassie Garcia, in Texas's 28th district. Why is this interesting, and why should we be focusing on this race?
So Cuellar is basically the last pro-life Democrat left. He's someone who's been yelling at the president about the border. He's a 9-term congressman running against an openly conservative former Cruz staffer. Now, this is a place...
A Ted Cruz staffer.
Yes, Ted Cruz staffer. And this is a place that used to be the future of the Democrats' plans, the Rio Grande Valley. They wrote books about how the demographic change in America was going to usher in a Democratic supermajority forever. And this is ground zero for that not working out. Democrats keep on attacking the border. These people are living this nightmare, and it's really hurting Democrats down there. He's had some support from Democratic leadership who've tried to bail him out a little bit. But in general, this is just showing the continuing trend of Democratic voters, Hispanic voters turning on the Democratic Party.
So this primary that he had was so close it went to a runoff and then a recount, and then he may have lost if the Democratic leadership didn't step in to help him, even though, again, he's at odds with the Democrat leadership on most of these big issues, like semi-automatic ban of weapons, on whether the border's secure. So why do they want him to win if he's not going to just be a rubber stamp for their policy?
So he's I think he's about 40% against the president on the Democratic Party. But that 60% is helpful. And they know that the Rio Grande is changing. They know that it's going more and more red. And the woman who ran against him, the young woman, is a radical left-winger, a young one. The Democrats said, hold on a second, there's no shot she's going to win in the actual general election. And maybe we can get some concessions from Cuellar if we come in to try and help him. Yeah. But it's never good for an incumbent to almost barely scrape by in a primary before a general.
Remember like a couple of years ago when they said, well, Beto O'Rourke is going to be at the forefront of flipping Texas to blue. I mean, I think we saw that headline so many times. Is that
and
even
they're still doing think pieces. Now we have Mandela, the new Beto of Wisconsin. It's the same story.
Let's stay in South Texas, though, where GOP Congresswoman Mayra Flores is battling that Democrat Congressman Vicente Gonzalez. That's the 34th district. Now, she's running for her first full term after she won that special election. We all reported on it. This really does seem like a Hispanic wave in some sections of the country for Republicans.
Yes, she's, I think, the first Mexican-American woman elected to Congress for this special term. She's the first Republican in history elected to her old congressional seat. Now, because of rewriting, these two incumbents are forced to face off against each other. And I think she's got a real shot. And again, she's another person. She's not. A lot of Republicans and Democrats in Texas kind of run to the right of maybe Republicans in Massachusetts. It's not a particularly left-wing state in the local level, but all these Democrats are still in trouble. They're getting right-wing challenges, and where we see generally in the Rio Grande Valley is going to show it. Today, the Cook Political Report came out and said this is actually leaning towards Myra for the first time. So the whole summer of Joe Biden's got his aviators back, well, that seems to be puttering out in real time.
The number one state that could be a bellwether for a absolute Republican wave would be what? Let's say a gubernatorial race. If it went Republican, which one would presage a Republican wave?
Oregon.
I was going to say, it's got to be.
It's wild that state might go Republican.
It's got to be Pacific Northwest. If that goes red, then all bets are off for the Democrats.
And I'll go back to Oregon.
All right. Great
It'll be
point.
safe again.
Chris, great to see you. Thank you so much.